This section will be covering basic rigging. In construction, rigging things up to be able to lift it, it's extremely important to learn how to do it safely. So this section will be getting into signals and the things that was used to lift things, and talking about slings and other components of rigging. Slings are basically straps that are used to support things. Matter of fact, in this picture, you see this very large roller, and you can compare how large it is compared to the men standing around it. But you got using a crane to lift it to put it into place. But again, do things safely, to keep from people getting hurt, it must be done safely and understanding your equipment. So the objective of this section in this module is to be able to identify and describe various types of rigging slings, hardware, and equipment. Also, to be able to identify and describe various types of slings. And we will go through performance tests and actually do a couple demonstrations to see how things would work and how important it is to handle um, when rigging large pieces of equipment to lift. Slings are basically it could be a strap, it could be rope, it could be chains, anything that can be used to hoist something. So it could be wire rope, it could be synthetic straps, or what we call webbing, or it can be ropes. But anyway, the slings, and we'll take a look at a few pictures to know um, how to identify these components. Hoist is a device that apply a mechanical force for lifting or lowering a load. So a hoist can be multiple things. It can be um, a um, chain hoist or a cable hoist, so it could be a crane. It could be using a gantry with some type of lifting, or it could be just blocks. Blocks, uh, such as a snatch block, is something that can be used um, to take some of the load away from someone lifting something manually. Qualified person, that's anyone who actually been trained correctly. Usually they will have some type of certification or degree or some type of uh, information proving that they spent time learning how to do things correctly. Matter of fact, not just only testing. The testing is not just a written test, but also physically um, going through the process. Load, that's anything that has weight to it, you need to lift. So a load can be anything is like trash, trying to lift something, or it can be bricks or a skid of whatever tools. But a load is the total amount of what been lifted, including all the slings, hitches, and the hardware. So when we're lifting a load, we have to consider everything, not just the items you're trying to lift, but if there's turnbuckles and hoists and all those other things that's going to be supported need to be considered part of the load. If it has weight, it is part of the load. Wire rope is basically stranded type of wire that have been joined together to make it very strong. Uh, so many small wire been woven together to make a very strong cable. So we call it wire rope. Rated capacity is basically the maximum load weight a sling or a piece of hardware or equipment can hold or lift. And so, in other words, we never go over its rated capacity. Never, ever go above that. A hitch. A hitch is basically uh, the rigging configuration by which a sling connects the load to a hoist hook. The three basic types of are vertical, a choker, and basket. We'll talk about each one of those later, but uh, these are different type of hitches. Sling reach, it's basically the distance, the measurement taken from the master link. In other words, uh, if it's a sling, it may have multiple strands of or ropes or cables or chains coming off of a master link, and the master link is holding all those together. And so it basically is the distance that it can stretch to, be connected to. Sling legs. So in other words, if you have a sling, again, it may have multiple cables connected to it. So each one of those cables will be considered a leg. So in other words, if it has four cables or four chains coming off with that master link, we'll have four legs. And basically, they would be connected to your load, um, balance the distance so it's not so it lifting the load evenly without it leaning or sagging or because you can lose control of it and it could slip loose or putting more stress on one side of the cable than the other legs. Plane is a surface in which a straight line joining two points lies wholly within that surface. In other words, usually a plane is something that's straight, flat, and you're trying to connect it across. And again, anything when you're lifting things, you want to make sure that things are level, that you're not putting more stress on one side of the load than the other side. And core is the center point. So the center support member of a wire around the strands uh, that is laid. So strands, again, like I say, if it's a wire cable, it's usually made up of multiple smaller wires, which is uh, wound together for a um, for the strength. And the usually the center of it is what they call sometimes a core. So again, strands can be even synthetic, a line, a rope, where they still put a core in it. Tattletale is the cord attachment to the strands of the the endless loop sling. It protrudes from the jacket. The tattletale is used to determine if the endless sling has been stretched or overloaded. Basically, they put a special strand of wire or string inside of a cable or a rope. And if it been stretched out, the telltales would stick out and protrude. So you can tell, oh, this line is damaged. We cannot use it any longer because it's the telltales have released itself. I will see a picture of it so you know what it is. Uh, the master link, again, when you got a change, there's always a master that holding things together where we connect the links together. The bridle is something that actually hold multiple things together for a hoist. And so, in other words, you may connect the bridles like holding multiple uh, legs together. In sheaves, it is basically a pulley. It is a pulley that are used to um, uh, put cables on um, or ropes that can turn freely. And again, those shifts are found on many lifting type devices or cranes. Alrighty, when we're looking at any type of sling or any type of lifting things, it is designed to handle up to a certain load. In other words, certain weight capacity. and that need to be always visible. Always. If it's not visible, you need to get rid of that lifting device, because each time you lift something, you need to know exactly what it's rated for. Because if you overrate it, it can become dangerous because it can fail. So um, you can, anytime you buy some type of sling or some type of strap, it will have a weight capacity on it. And by law, it must always be on it. It never tears it off. So all slings are required to have identification tags. An identification tag must be securely attached to each sling and clearly marked with the information required for that type of sling. If you look at this um, diagram of a tag, you can see a lot of information about it. They give you about the about that sling. This picture, they're using a synthetic strap. It's made out of some type of like nylon or polyethylene or polypropylene or some type of material, some type of synthetic material. Believe it or not, they are extremely strong, extremely strong. And many times that's what we use when we're using cranes to lift things. And the capacity of these things is in the thousands of pounds, and or depending how big the crane is and or the weight, it could be in the tonnage. And so 1 ton of weight is 2,000 pounds. So many times that we use different types of slings, and synthetic ones are definitely used. So you don't always have to be a cable, a metal cable, or chains. Here's one of the reasons why. Maybe the cable or the chains can damage what you're trying to lift. That synthetic strap is softer and is not going to damage the materials. So synthetic slings offer more advantages, including it's soft, help to protect the surface of the lifting component. It doesn't rust or corrode. It's lightweight, easy to handle. It's flexible and somewhat elastic under load. Uh, Loads are less likely to twist while in the air, because these synthetic slings and straps are flat. They're flattened, and so it lays flat on the materials and holds it in place pretty well. These are some of the type of synthetic slings you will see. It's well, uh, basically these are all different types of slings, but you can see the tags, tag here, there, and they were printed on it. So again, if they become damaged, you would end up getting rid of it. But you can see another thing. You see the telltales, the little lines going through in some of these, like this one. And if you see it separating, it's time to get rid of it because it lost its strength from being overused. So, so even soft synthetic slings can abrade surface or damage paint. So protective pads are needed at contact points for delicate surfaces. And yes, they can put, um, and it would be part of it, or you can buy sleeves that go on it. So again, the warning yarns. This is a red warning yarn that will pop once it's been stretched and over its limit. So when the red core warning yarn becomes exposed, it is an indication that the sling has been overloaded and should not be used. This is just one reason why a sling should be taken out of service. Yeah, if you actually see a braiding or things that seem to be wearing off on any sling, it's time to get rid of it. These are different types of slings. The first one on the left side, they call it endless, just a loop. The one on the in the center, it has been attached together, but is joined in the middle. Um, However, most of the slings you would see and use would be like the endless. They do make the round one. The round one is not truly round, but it's like oval shape compared to the endless, which is flat. It lays flat, and it's pretty nice how it lays flat on the when you're lifting something, especially something square or something rectangular. Now, these are two types of straps, and the difference is the ends here is twisted. And the reason why it's twisted is that you can use it to thread through each other, put it what they call choking down on the on your load. And so, say both standard and twisted sling styles are very common, and it is. The difference is, like say, this will fit into an eyelet um, and and fold in place, while this may be a little bit more bulky when you put it in the eyelet and and the hook to do a lift. So this is they call it the twin path slings. Twin path slings are very different from in construction from common slings. If you notice, you can see this here. Again, you don't see this type very often. The other slings that we just looked at is definitely more common than the other types of slings or this type. This is some telltales. Again, if it's overstretched, the thing will pop and it will be loose, and it's time to stop using it. This is the another type, but you can see where the information about this sling is located. Um, Sometimes they put fiber optic inspection cables inside of it. So the telltale may be also fiber optic inspection cables built into it, allowing the user to determine if the telltale has been separated anywhere along the path. Again, you'll be able to see it and be able to look into it to see if there's any. So if it's, let's say, a load that is very heavy, and you want to make sure that your cables are in good condition, again, they make cables just a special cable so you can inspect it very easily. So again, this is used to help with knowing that if the cable is is in a good condition or not. Better yet, not just good condition, that is in a safe condition. Alrighty, here's chain slings, and we see how it's connected. Got this master link right there. A lot of times, this is used to lift uh, different loads um, that where the not damaging whatever you're lifting won't be a concern. So if they're lifting like a container where it doesn't matter, it's not the product itself. Something like a chain sling certainly can work. Or lifting some heavy equipment um, that lifting at lifting points where it won't be damaged will be um, a way to do it. And so now the hitch is actually these right here, the hitches. The whole thing is the sling. Here's a bridle sling, and a bridle basically is held together here at the master link, and we have three different separate legs on it, and there's hooks on the end. So if you're lifting something that is concentric, meaning that it's even on all sides, that you would be able to hook onto, this will work very well. In other words, you can't damage the materials because you're lifting from the lifting hooks. Here's a wire rope sling, and it has what do you call this? Is a thimble. A thimble. Uh, to join the cables together in that loop, they swage um, the cables together. They use this part here, and they actually fasten it. It's made out of some type of metal like lead or something, and it compresses it and to lock it in place. And it go around again a thimble to use to help hold it together and to form it. Matter of fact, is this thimble is also used from damage keep from damaging the cable itself, because now it's a protector shield around that cable. Again, this is wire rope and the core, and basically they have multiple strands to make a cable, and multiple cables will make a larger cable to give it strength. In other words, it will have a very strong capacity of lifting by doing this. So these cables are twisted together and then retwisted again to be able to um, give that wire rope or cable as much strength for lifting as possible. So what should you do if you are using a synthetic sling and see red yarn? We know the red yarn means that it's probably been stretched out of position. So stop using the sling. What do telltales do? Basically, it warns us, let you know if there's a sling that has been overloaded. So in other words, most likely it lost some of its strength. What do telltales do? It is basically um, just just like it says, it tells you something. In other words, it's a safety thing that's integrated into your straps. How many legs can a bridle sling have? It's all of the above, because you can have two, three, four. Matter of fact, it could be even more if they designed it that way for special loads. But again, there are some basic ones, two, three, and four legs of slings. Which of the following choices are a component of a chain sling? Alrighty, only one is right. It's not a master lock. It's not red yarn. That's a synthetic sling. Telltales are in synthetic slings if it's been overloaded. So the answer must be a master link, and the master link was holding all those together, all those legs. Which of the following choices is an example of a synthetic sling? It was the round one. Only one of those are correct. Everything else really bogus. It just made up some things. And that should cover slings.